back to another episode of Chanel in the City. I'm your host, Chanel Omari, and we have a super exciting guest on today. He's really one of my favorite Bravo celebrities and one of my favorite people in this world that inspires me on the daily. He's the hottest real estate mogul in LA right now, and he's the star of one of the hottest shows on Bravo TV and one of my personal favorites, Shahs of Sunset, season 9, airing Sunday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. PST time. And he is the book author of his new book, Memoirs of a Gay Shah, which I am so excited for it to come out. Please welcome our dear friend, Reza Farahan. How are you?
What is up, Chanel? Thank you for that intro. Oh my God.
Listen, you're a king. You deserve more.
You're a sweetheart. I am so humbled and honored to be here, girl.
Thank you. You look great. Your background's amazing. Tell us, we were talking about you having lunch, and I said, hey, what's your secret to looking good, to feeling fit, to feeling like mentally, emotionally, physically good all around? What's your secret?
So, Chanel, the pandemic changed everything for me. It just like triggered me in the best way. And I realized the world shut down and I started looking around and we started walking. I started riding my bike. We started gardening. It felt so good. I just started building on it. And I was reading up on intermittent fasting and I wanted to lose weight and I wanted to be efficient and I went to see a nutritionist and it just calories and numbers and formulas, things that make sense. Like it's like money, like count hundreds in front of me and that makes sense to me. So like she was just plugging numbers and telling me, you're this tall at this age with this much, they ran some tests and told me, this is how much fat I have. And if I want this, this is what I got to do. And I started doing it and I saw the results. And the first few weeks were hellacious.
Yes, I'm
I
sure.
wasn't making those hey videos in the, first 3 weeks.
Or like, let me show you my TikTok abs, right? Like,
No, girl, I put the big Buddha tummy. I put it on Instagram. I didn't put it on my old butt didn't have TikTok, but I put my fattest, biggest belly picture out. Cause for me, it is a good reminder because it makes me think, you know what? Oh, hell no. And it reminds me to make sure to not ever go back to that place ever again.
right. And that's the thing too, is like, being in reality TV now, 9 seasons, which is such a triumph. It's such an accomplishment because most people just have one season or can barely get on. How important is it to be sober or have this healthy lifestyle that you've been promoting, I think, for a while now? Does that go hand in hand? Do you have to be focused, like, and healthy to be successful in this industry?
I think you just have to stand behind who you are, what you do, what you say. When you act like a clown, you don't come back and say, you know what, that was clown adjacent. And
Right.
here are 50 reasons why it's not really clown like. No, you just say, you know what, I drank too much. I had a bad day. I'm sorry. You own it. Um, and and I always think the nasty act isn't a blessing, but there's blessings come. You just have to pay attention, focus, they'll come. But when you're always trying to like say, you know what, no, 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 because you're trying to keep your front up or your image or you're worried about your brand or other things, I think that gets in the way of authenticity. And the audience is so smart. The audience is so smart. I see them, I read their comments, I talk to them, I hug them at BravoCon. I was the one who stayed for every last picture for every single fan that like I saw in the panel, like how long the line was. And I thought to myself, if I'm waiting and I'm the last person in the line, there best be someone at, you know, but they gave us an option to hang for as long as we wanted. You know, I didn't have to wait for everybody, but I want to, because those are my people. If I'm not coming through, you know, if they didn't come through for me, like I wouldn't have 9 seasons. So I get that. And a lot of people don't.
Yes, I get that. And I love that you're saying that because a lot of people don't. And sometimes you have to lead by example. Like you said, 9 seasons. I mean, did you ever think you would get to 9 seasons based on the first season?
Sometimes I worry about talking about this because we are one of the first, I think, only Iranian casts. And we never knew if America like would be ready, and like who knew, you know? And it just turned out that like, oh my God, people from every background are hitting me up. They're Peruvian, they're Greek, they're Mexican, Latin, from Guatemala. They're like, oh my God, we're just like Persians, or they find similarities. And that to me has been one of the biggest blessings, because I grew up during the Argo time, you know, where like the hostage crisis was happening, and like, you know, the Middle Eastern PR in the States wasn't that great. So to have a show that wasn't about politics, wasn't about religion, it's about a group of friends, and you know how we interact with one another, and how we deal with problems and struggles and money, and you know, babies and husbands, and bringing spouses into dynamics and all that stuff. It's been such a blessing to have people connect with us and make us feel normal.
I love that. Listen, I connect with you because I told you, I come from a Persian Jewish background. My grandfather was from Iran, from Tehran, and my dad was from Iran and moved to Israel, and so I have all that mix. So when I see you, I relate to, right, brother and sister. I relate to you, and I'm like, oh my God, Reza is one of the coolest people in the world. You're so inspiring because you are authentic and you do stand by your ground. And I think that's really hard to do. Like for me, for anybody in our audience, it's hard to say, you know what, I'm going to take a sacrifice and a risk, and people might not like me and people might like me. I mean, how do
But
you cope with
Chanel,
that?
I had no option, because I grew up with people not liking me just because of who I was. Not only did I grew up with people not liking me, I grew up with people in my own family not liking me, because I came from a mother and a father who were Muslim and Jewish, you know, rival
Yeah.
religions basically. And both sides didn't support the union, and it was so hard for me growing up, where both sides of the family didn't want to come together. It was crazy to me, and that both sides didn't love me because of it, and it was mind-boggling. So I went out into the world knowing I was hated, because I was feeling it within my own family to a certain extent. Now, I don't want to disrespect my entire family, because 70-80% of them are delicious. It was just some were not as loving and supportive. So
And
when I went out, I knew, I was like, there's no other option. I just got to be like, this is who I am. I'm used to people not loving me. So what? What you
right.
got?
Exactly. But that's good for also the younger generation, and people who are scared to be themselves now feel they don't have to be scared to be themselves when they see someone like you on TV setting that ground.
Chanel, when I have friends who say things about like they're they might identify as like LGBTQ plus, and they may say, oh, this person is more effeminate, I get so offended. I hate that, because I see commercials where men wear makeup, like there's pronouns and people are respecting them now. It just inclusivity, just accepting people, and I see more of it than I did when I was young. So it makes me feel good and makes me think there's so much hope. And it just makes me feel like, you know, absorbing some of the nasty things people say like helped. It
Yeah.
actually did something.
It helped you become stronger, successful.
Yeah.
someone to look up to. So let's change gears a little bit now. Let's talk about the season. Season
Yes.
9. What a
Yes.
trailer. What a season so far. Do you want to share
Yes.
with us what do you think is different from this season from all other seasons? This is going to be a two-part question. And yeah, let's answer that first and then I'll get to the next one.
I mean, first and foremost, we shot it during a pandemic, which was insane because we were getting tested regularly. There was a whole layer of the pandemic, which editing and production, kudos to the network and the production company for keeping us healthy and safe and making the show look so good, because it was at some of the most hot numbers, deaths, and we were able to keep cast, but crew, right? Crew people working around us, which made me so happy. So happy. So to see the show look so not like COVID wise,
Yeah.
I can't believe it because it was at the of COVID.
Amen. I agree. It was just phenomenal. It's like you didn't even feel COVID, and the beauty of the beauty of a great show. What is your journey, if you want to share with us so far? We see last season, you and MJ, who's your best friend,
Yes.
have gone through some difficulties, through some obstacles. What can you share with us this season? What we're about to see with your friendship, how it's evolving?
Well, I mean, Chanel, the one thing that I'm super excited to share with you is I was going through my DMs and I swear to you, someone DM'd me a screen grab of a picture of me wearing a blue and white polo from season 4 and asking me where I got it. Like, I remember, like season 4, okay? And it's not a big picture, it's a tiny, and I like it just the like I was like, what does she think? I have like a Rolodex or a file? Like it just be like season 5, no
You
7,
know how
oh
like Kim
4.
Kardashian has the Met Gala dress one, Met
Yeah,
Gala.
no, girl, this was just a random polo, girl. It's not even like that. It wasn't like Fendi or anything. So I just thought it was because I went like on a rabbit hole of like what she was thinking I had access to. Like, do I have like a vault of like footage that I could just go tee 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 tee? Or what was she think? So I screen grabbed it and I sent it to MJ and I just thought like I said, I thought you'd get a chuckle out of this. And we had a very sweet, innocuous moment, and it just was really sweet and special to me that after where we had been, that we get to have these little moments of progress. And I thank God that we're in a much better place. You guys are seeing stuff that's obviously shot 6 months ago, so I can just tell you that it was the positivity was in this direction. As far as I was concerned, you're asking me what was different, and I said the pandemic. The other thing that was different for me, when we started this season, I was already so many sessions of therapy deep. I was already so many pounds down. I was already so many 6 mile runs in my neighborhood where I was clearing my head and setting intention of like what I wanted out of this season. And not, I'm saying season because you and I are talking and you're
Right.
interviewing me, but of hanging out with my friends and like being in the company of this group of people after what we had gone through. Like, what do I want? And it was so awesome to just be in a zone where it was like, okay, like, yup, this is, yeah, no problem. This is happening. But like, okay, yeah, I got hot, but this stuff over here with Mike and wait, is that Jessica? No,
Right.
Paulina. Just no, Paulina. Okay. It was almost like a distraction because the heartache of finding out from Golnesa that I would never get to see baby Shamps was like I get that my friend was in a difficult position. I understand that. And it breaks my heart that the two men in her life are like that. But to get the info from Golnesa was like, it was a dagger. Um, so the Mike stuff was almost like it was a distraction to get my mind off of like something that was so painful to deal with. And I almost had to keep like a stiff upper lip for Golnesa and them because like I couldn't even believe it that I was getting the, like when I was getting it, I was like
You're like, how do I, right? Because I saw you, like when you get that news, like for me, I'm a very emotional person. So it's hard to put a poker face when you're so in it. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's like,
well,
how do you do it?
what it was like because I didn't want to be a bitch and immediately go into like that ugly cry where it's like blah, 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 you know, and I couldn't articulate my like thought process, and I just in that moment I thought, listen, you created pain, you put pain out in the universe, and this is something I you need to endure. There's a reason for it, homie. Suck it up and deal with it. And I absorbed it, and I wanted to deal with MJ in a better way. I wanted to talk to her and say, hey, listen, I get that you're in a predicament. I appreciate it. I have no control over that. But what I do respectfully ask of you is if you're gonna like share sensitive info with other people, like yikes, like either tell them to like, or know that if they come back and tell me, I'm gonna be like, yo, sis, like, are me and you actually working towards a better situation? Because that's some shiz you need to say. You need to tell me yourself. Like, it's hard enough hearing it from you. Hearing it from Golnesa, that's another layer of like,
And what for, like, right? Why clarifying? Obviously, because you've had your issues with Golnesa. MJ's had her issues with Golnesa over the years. Is that why it's the dagger in your heart that you have to find it out from this third party that you haven't really trusted for a long time? I mean, I'm not putting words. I'm saying is as a
no,
question.
no, no. It wasn't even about trust because in that moment, I knew Golnesa was being honest and blunt. It was just, she was actually sharing factual information about what transpired in Palm Springs after I left. And Destiny was sitting there co signing every minute of it. So I knew that if it wasn't true, Destiny would be like, well, no, 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 that's not how it went down. I knew that these two friends were coming to like relay what transpired after I stormed off. But to get it in such like a blunt manner, it just felt like I've known Golnesa for half the time I've known MJ. That's just not some it's like getting either great news or horrific news. It would come from MJ. Like Golnesa wouldn't even have access to it like that is what I
I
was,
totally
you know
feel
what I'm
you.
saying?
Yeah, of course. I'd be so
Like,
upset. I'd be
like
so upset if I
that's
had to
like
find it.
CEO level. That's
Yeah.
CEO. Golnesa's the CMO.
Right.
CMO. CEO, CMO.
I totally feel you. And I'm sure most of the audience who's been following you for that journey feels that. And that's why I'm sorry for that pain because it does, I can relate and I would be very hurt and and it's interesting to see how you guys overcome that. I mean, do you think you and Tommy can ever get to a good place where you can be cordial and see the baby and be, it's almost like co-parenting, right? I mean, where do you see yourself if you don't mind me asking?
Not at all. I don't I appreciate the question actually because it gets my mind, you know, in that like thought process of like wondering like, oh my God, what would it be like to see the baby? So the only thing I could say is I hope that what Tommy sees this season, because you know, I don't want to give the rest of it away, but what he gets to see that he wasn't there for, that it doesn't rub him the wrong way, that you know, he sees that I'm in a different place, you know? Most importantly, that was my hope. That was what bothered me about that dinner with the the I when Mike was trying to work the iCloud thing, I was like, oh, poor Steve Jobs. But when,
Poor
because
Steve Jobs, he's probably going around in his grave like I've created a tool for cheating men to get caught,
no, no,
motherfuckers.
no, no. He's well, no, because at that point he was saying it got hacked, and I'm thinking like, wait a minute, Steve Jobs knows that iCloud don't get FBI. So I was hoping at that dinner that Mike would be like, dude, reporting back like, Reza, have you seen this fool? He's dropped 20. He's running like, you know, did you see the movie Forrest Gump where the guy just kept running? Like, that's him. He's running. His house looks crazy. The guard, but that's not what happened. So, you know, the Mike stuff is playing out. And, you know, I joke that like Jessica, like, I remember first we met Lana, you know, and
Yeah. Oh my
we
God,
grew
that was
fond
so
of
long ago, right?
we grew fond of her. And then, you know, then there was Florence and she never even made it to the air. And then there was Jessica, and then there was Stephanie, which you guys didn't get to see, and then there was Morgan, and then now there's Paulina. And I think to myself, I love Mike. I'm always gonna love Mike, whether Mike does right or does wrong. I still love Mike. I may be upset with the actions, but I still love Mike. I need to not get hung up when his ladies drop the ammo on us. And then clearly the pillow talk works. And then they get back.
And
And
you're the
then you
right, and you're the bad guys almost, right?
totally
Right?
no.
You're like, oh my God, am I living in the twilight? Well, on that note, with Paulina, that's what I was going to ask you. What do you want to clarify to the audience that we're not seeing where
I
Mike
don't.
keeps?
I
There's
don't want. I don't want to clarify anything. Here's what I want to
yes,
clarify. The show is amazing. We have the best production company and we're on the best network, and the editors were able to show you what exactly happened with taking the minutia of the pandemic out of it to make it look for you guys to follow without having to see like, which to me boggles my mind because they kept us safe and healthy. The other thing is there's no equivalent to that song, Whoop, there it is, in Farsi, right? But at the end of it is, Whoop, there it is, I thought you knew, right? So it's like with Mike, you just love him. I feel bad for him because he's a Libra and he's very sensitive.
yeah,
And social media sees a lot of people are smart. We talked about this. Bravo audience. I'm a Bravo celebrity, but I was a Bravo holic before I was a Bravo celebrity. I was hooked. I was loving Atlanta and Beverly Hills. I was hooked, 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 and still am. And we could chop it up about shows until next week. But I am not as sensitive as Mike. I don't take what bots and other people have to say or need to prove to them, oh, you didn't see there were 3 spoons on the table. It's not about that, you know? It's
right.
just like we talked about this. You just own what you do, what you say, how you make the people feel. They want an apology. They want you to say,
The
you
truth.
know, yeah, and listen, you were on the beach, Torah, Tefillin, and everything at that time with Destiny, right? And it was beautiful. But now that the episodes are airing, if I go to social media, does that mirror what was happening and your connection to faith? Why
Right.
does that not continue? Why I would love for him to disconnect from social media because Mike is the most beautiful, loving, amazing guy. He slips up and he admits. The problem is the cover up and the lying and all of the wreckage that happens when you're trying to keep your fronts up.
Why do you think there's a commitment issue there? What is, since you know him the most, the best, and you want the best for him, and it's very clear, What's that
Totally.
commitment?
I think it's not a commitment issue. I think that Mike is definitely committed to Paulina, and Paulina knows that Mike is committed to her. I think, if I may be so humble, I'm not a professional. This is a lay person's opinion. I noticed something with my friend Mike when the show got picked up, that I don't like. It doesn't do anything to me, but he does. The praise that he gets from these hot women feeds something that I don't understand, right? And
Yes.
it's feeding something.
Yep.
And whether he's engaging in just texting or not, I don't know, and I don't care.
Right.
We just know about him admitting to the texting, so let's stick to that. Whatever that part, he gets something out of it, right? That hot chick, the excitement, the pics, the convo, whatever. If he could find a way to feed that, this would go away for him.
I see. I love that. We can't wait to stay tuned. We're going to wrap this up with a great question because I'm so excited for this book. Talk to us about your book, Memoirs of a Gay Shah, which is such a great title. And I wish you the most mazel and success because you deserve it. It's going to be New York Times bestseller. We're putting it out there
From
right now.
your mouth to God's
Amen.
ears,
It
Chanel.
is. It's happening.
Thank you.
Tell us the
Thank
inspiration
you.
behind that book.
The inspiration was, when I was coming up, there was really no show for me to watch. There was no internet for me to go to. There were no gay role models. I literally didn't think I would make it past a certain age because of HIV and my family coming out to them and people that were gay that I knew that took their own lives. So it's just stories about how I figured life out and all the obstacles and just persevering and knowing and finding ways and paths and funny stuff and heartfelt stuff and how I got on the show and all that.
That's amazing. And we see that sweet moment. I want people to binge watch the new season and tune in with you and Destiny. And when I saw the growth with you, even more so, is when you talked with her about the book and the memory between your mother and her mother being best friends, which showed me the authenticity of Shahs, the authenticity of this friend group that has so much history that you cannot break. No show
No.
can break it, no person can break it, which
No.
is so amazing to see. And you said to her, Destiny, move on. And that's when I saw that someone like you who stands their ground is able to say, let's move on. Let's move on from this. Let's forgive. And it was amazing seeing you write the book and record it with her. And I'm just so excited for you. I'm excited for you.
It was blessed to have the audience be a part of the journey. It's just the fact that there was some publisher that believed in me. I feel really blessed. So thank you so much for letting me talk about it, Chanel. I really
And where can
appreciate
we find
it.
the book? When can we buy the book or where?
I think April of 2022, if I'm not mistaken.
What's your favorite place? Chanel in the City audience wants to know, in LA or when you come to New York, to eat or to escape at?
Okay. My absolute favorite place, and I hoof it there. I don't care where I'm staying. I get my little thing out. I figure out it's Mulberry Street. It's called Ruby Rosa, and they have this vodka pizza. It's thin and crispy, and it's got that vodka cream sauce on this. And I hate you for making me. My mouth is full of juices, Chanel, and I'm probably gonna pig out tonight because of you. But go to Ruby Rosa and try the vodka pizza. If you're in New York City, you will not regret it. It is absolutely the best.
Reza, where can everybody follow you? Thank you so much for being with us and being on this podcast.
Absolutely. At Reza Farahan on all my platforms. Hey, this is Reza Farahan from Bravo TV's Shahs of Sunset, and I'm on with Chanel Omari from Chanel in the city. Help!